Everyone is trying to steal your Bitcoin, whether it be recent announcements of government tax offices raiding homes to take hardware wallets, or the ever-present fear of somebody remotely hacking your wallet with your life savings. The big question remains, how do you obtain and use Bitcoin in a way that is both secure and private, and in a way that you can simply set and forget? Well, I've been educating people in and around Bitcoin for a decade now, and I've nailed down what I consider to be a pretty good flow. So I'm going to lay out today all of the tools and the exact flow that I use, as well as some tips and tricks so that you can tailor it to your own needs. I'm Ben with the BTC Sessions. This is your daily session. So there's a lot to think about if you want to be obtaining and using Bitcoin day to day in a private but secure way. And I have tested just about every tool out there on the market. And a lot of them are great. A lot of them are not so great, and there's a whole bunch of stuff in between. And so I'm going to today outline a bunch of the tools that I use day to day as a person who not only has been using and obtaining Bitcoin for a period of time, but actually been living on it almost exclusively for nearly 5 years. So how do I go about doing this, and how do I make sure that I am secure and again, as private as possible in the process? Now, of course, I'm here on the internet, and I am kind of torpedoing a bit of my privacy in even making videos, but I'm also here so that I can take one for the team and educate some of the masses on what is available at your fingertips. So with that in mind, I'm going to outline what I do, and then stick around because I will outline on ways that you can perhaps even improve upon what I'm doing if you want to put in a little extra elbow grease. So let's dive in. Let's start with obtaining Bitcoin in a private way. So one of the biggest favors you can do for yourself is starting from when you first obtain your Bitcoin and doing so in a way that's not going to require a whole bunch of personal information that's going to sit with a company or another entity and potentially be able to be accessed by others later. So one of the ways you can do that is buying Bitcoin with no KYC. This could be as simple as you knowing somebody who has Bitcoin and is willing to sell it to you. But if you don't have that option, then you're going to want to be able to obtain it in a way, again, that doesn't require ID. And so there are websites out there that allow you to link up with other individuals online in a secure manner that ensures that you can get dollars or whatever your local currency is to them, and they get Bitcoin to you without a risk of being taken advantage of. And one of my favorite places for this is HodlHodl. Again, this is a website that matches you with other individuals that either want to buy or sell Bitcoin, and does it with some very interesting and secure technical ways of ensuring that people don't take advantage of each other, but without you having to give up custody of Bitcoin in the process. So I do have a full video on how to use HodlHodl and everything else we're going to be talking about, but that will be in the show notes down below, so be sure to check that out. Now, I am located in Canada, and another great way to get Bitcoin without requiring ID is Bitcoin Well. They have Bitcoin ATMs around the country, and they have a way of doing this that's called a cash voucher system, where you create an account with just an email address and a password. You can choose any email. You can create an email even just specifically for this purpose. It gives you an identity QR code without requiring ID. And when you go to the ATMs, you can bypass the ID requirements by simply scanning the QR code to show this is a single customer buying with cash under the threshold amount that is required by law before requiring ID. You can do this multiple times a day and multiple times a week within government allowed thresholds. But I can tell you from within Canada, you can stack meaningful amounts of Bitcoin through this method if you just have a little bit of patience. Now, the third thing that I would like to outline to you is how I obtain Bitcoin nowadays. I said I've been living on Bitcoin for some time, and that's because merchants and people that I deal with pay me in Bitcoin directly. And the tool that I use for invoicing, for point of sale terminal, for all of these different things is Zaprite. Zaprite basically allows you to do a number of different things. Again, you can invoice, you can link in both traditional payment methods like credit cards, but you can take on-chain Bitcoin and Lightning Bitcoin and all these different things. You also, again, have the options for integrated checkouts. You have the options for point of sale terminals, for tip pages, for crowdfunding, all of those different things. And you can link in all of these different ways and wallets that you yourself hold. Zaprite themselves, they don't actually ever hold your money for you. They're just a conduit so that people can find a way to pay you that goes directly into your own Bitcoin wallet. They have a ton of different plugins. So I'll just pull up the page here. But these are all the different ways that you can plug in different Bitcoin resources. And so up here, for instance, where it says Bitcoin, I can grab a little bit of information from a Bitcoin wallet that I use and plunk it in here. I'm not giving up any credentials to spend. I'm merely using Zaprite as a mechanism to pull up Bitcoin addresses that I own and serve them up to clients that are looking to pay me. There's a ton of different plugins that you can see here, a bunch of them for Bitcoin and then others for traditional payments. So the people that want to pay you in Bitcoin can, but you can still accept regular traditional fiat payments if you have customers that are maybe on the fence or that still just aren't going to be leaving the dollar anytime soon. So I love this, and I'm going to, after we get through this section, I'm going to show you the actual type of wallet that I plug into this to accept invoice payments in a way that will make it more private. So to sum up everything here, you want to obtain Bitcoin in a way that doesn't require ID from yourself. None of these things that I mentioned require ID, whether it be HodlHodl, whether it be the Bitcoin Well Cash voucher system, or whether it be Zaprite. There are other instances of ways to do these things, and I'll detail a few of them at the end as alternatives. But the most important thing that you can do first off is get Bitcoin without giving up your ID. So let's talk the actual wallets that you're going to be using to take custody of your Bitcoin, whether you're buying it from a platform that allows you to obtain Bitcoin without ID, or whether somebody is paying you via an invoice because you are now a happy Bitcoin accepting merchant of the world. Well, I said in the previous instance that when I use my Bitcoin wallet and I pair it to Zaprite, or again, in those other instances, if you're using something like Bitcoin Well or HodlHodl and you're obtaining Bitcoin that way and using Bitcoin addresses, I plug in a wallet that automatically will do a process which is called coin joining that will further give me on-chain privacy, what's known as on-chain privacy. And so what this does is, in a typical Bitcoin transaction, if I give somebody my Bitcoin address and they send Bitcoin to me, anybody on the outside looking in can see that movement of coins on the Bitcoin blockchain or the Bitcoin time chain. And if people know that an address belongs to me, like I give up my ID to an exchange and they send it to me, and somebody accesses that information later, they can begin to kind of watch the movements of my money on the time chain. What CoinJoin does is it severs that link. So even if somebody did know I owned Bitcoin at one point, after a coin join, that trail goes off in hundreds of different directions, and it becomes very, very difficult, if not near impossible, to decipher where the coins that I once owned now are. If I've given up ID, it doesn't undo the fact that somebody may know that I had Bitcoin before. They just don't know where it currently is. If I didn't give up ID, then it further obfuscates everything and makes it really difficult because I've already done myself that favor in the first place. So the long and the short of it is, over on Zaprite, when I link in a Bitcoin wallet, I am linking in my Wasabi wallet. And as soon as Bitcoin lands in that wallet, it's automated so that it will automatically coin join and break those links and those traces of where my Bitcoin goes next. Now, of course, I've done a full video on Wasabi Wallet on how to use it and how to set it up. That will be in the show notes down below, as well as everything we've covered so far. And we're going to continue on with my flow because, yeah, I received Bitcoin into Wasabi Wallet, but Wasabi is what's known as a hot wallet. And that means that the keys, the credentials to be able to spend my money are sitting on a device that's connected to the internet, my computer. Well, this is no way to treat your life savings. That's not super secure. But Wasabi Wallet for CoinJoin has to be a hot wallet. At least the wallet that it enters into has to be a hot wallet. If I want to get it secure and move it to somewhere more secure, well, that would be an extra step, wouldn't it? I would have to then go and manually move it. Or would I? Well, that's what we're going to cover next. How do I get things from Wasabi Wallet into longer term savings? So when you are storing your Bitcoin for the long term and you want to keep it safe and you want to keep it out of the potential clutches of people trying to remotely hack your money, trying to get into your wallet, trying to put malware or viruses on your computer and gain access to your money, you typically want to use something known as a hardware wallet, or sometimes also referred to as a signing device. And the one that I use by default is the Coldcard Q. I found it to be the most robust, the most fully featured, the most secure, and it's the one that I trust in my day-to-day operations. And so I love what these guys do, but as I said before, well, if I'm obtaining Bitcoin by somebody paying me and I've been able to automate it so that it goes into a wallet that I own and it automatically coin joins with Wasabi Wallet, but that wallet is a hot wallet, that means I've got some extra steps. I got to move from Wasabi Wallet to the Coldcard. But I actually don't, because Wasabi Wallet allows you to have multiple wallets, and it allows you to pair hardware like the Coldcard. And it has a really awesome feature, and that feature is that when money enters into your hot wallet, which then is automatically coin joined, you can designate the destination of where those coin joined funds end up. And it's just simply in the wallet settings. So without revealing transaction data and anything, I'm already in the wallet settings of Wasabi in my CoinJoin wallet. And you can also see I have a secondary account up here, which is a Coldcard. And legitimately, you're basically looking at a wallet that I manage here. And in the wallet settings, there's a CoinJoin tab. And it says automatically start CoinJoin. That is turned on. It says CoinJoin to this wallet. And there's a drop-down menu. And you're able to choose any other open wallet that you have. So you can see it says CoinJoin to my CCQ savings, my Coldcard Q savings. So what have we done now? I'm getting paid via Zaprite. They have no hold over my funds. The Zaprite setup when I send an invoice to somebody is by default sending everything over to Wasabi Wallet. Wasabi Wallet, the second it lands and confirms, says it's time to coin join that Bitcoin so that we can break those links and give some additional privacy. It does that. And in the process, it says, as we're doing this, as we're coin joining, we're going to send this stuff right over to the Coldcard for long-term savings and holdings in this process. No extra steps. So all I need to do from the perspective of the receiver is somebody is paying me for a service. Here's an invoice. That's it. They pay me. All of this stuff happens automatically, all in a row. They pay, it coin joins in Wasabi wallet and sends automatically to my Coldcard for long-term savings. Done. Set it and forget it. Easy peasy. So this is my intake of Bitcoin in a way that is set it and forget it, self-custody, and adds privacy as well as security with hardware at the end of the transaction. So that is the initial flow. But what if you want to use Bitcoin after the fact and you still want to do it in a private way? We're going to tackle that next. Bitcoin Well is the best place to be buying and selling Bitcoin in Canada and the US. And now with Bitcoin Well Infinite, it's also the best place to be making large buys at their OTC desk of over $50,000. Their white glove service gives you fast transactions, no slippage, and the lowest fees. You can scan the QR code on the screen or simply head to bitcoinwell.com/BTC sessions to sign up today. And you can share your own personalized referral link to earn commissions. CoinKite has been in the game for years, creating hands down the best and most secure hardware when it comes to securing your Bitcoin. The Coldcard Q is an absolute powerhouse and my daily driver, and it's ideal for newcomers and advanced users alike. The Tap Signer gives you a low-cost, user-friendly option for those just getting started or for convenience when traveling. You can head to coinkite.com and use code BTC Sessions for discounts, or simply scan the QR code on the screen to get started right away. Debify is the best and easiest way to borrow against your Bitcoin in a non-custodial way. Funds are held in a multi-sig escrow where you hold a key, and the platform allows for excellent hardware like the Coldcard Mark IV and the Q. You have access to flexible conditions, the best rates, and institutional-grade liquidity. If you're looking to make use of your capital, don't sell your Bitcoin, borrow against it. You can head over to debify.com to check them out, or simply scan the QR code on the screen. So we're sitting in a place where things are looking pretty good. We received Bitcoin, it's been made more private, and it's in cold storage. But we want to utilize those coins. And one of the tricky bits with using regular on-chain Bitcoin, so not using like a Lightning wallet or something, is when you go to spend Bitcoin or use Bitcoin, oftentimes you get change. And you can think of it like this. If I'm at a merchant and I pull out a bill to pay for something, the merchant doesn't just see the exact amount that they're receiving. They see the change. And with Bitcoin, they not only see the change, but they can see what happens to the change next. And if that change intermingles with some of my other funds in a subsequent transaction, they may be able to begin piecing together what Bitcoin I have and maybe get a picture of my net worth. That's not something that I'm super keen on. And so there's a couple of different things that I do to help with this that just add some layers of privacy after the fact. So number one, we said, okay, well, we've got Bitcoin in a cold card. And that cold card was managed and viewable in Wasabi wallet. But funny enough, when I go to send money out of my cold card, actually not using Wasabi wallet, you can view and deal with your Bitcoin balances in multiple different wallets at the same time. So you can kind of think of it like if you're looking at a website, like this website on the internet right now, I can view this website, this information, this network. I can view it using Google Chrome, using Safari, using Firefox, using a variety of different internet browsers. The same is true of your Bitcoin wallet. The wallet is just the software you're using to view your balance, to add to it, and to be able to spend, whether or not you need to use hardware to help you accomplish that. And so what I found is there's a feature in another wallet that I really like when it comes to sending Bitcoin that gives me some additional privacy. And that wallet is Sparrow Wallet. And so what I've done is when it comes to my Coldcard, this device, this security device, yes, I've paired it with Wasabi Wallet and I can see the balance there. But I've also taken the same device and I've paired it with Sparrow Wallet so that I can see the balance there. And this is actually where I utilize to spend. If I want to peel off some Bitcoin and utilize it day to day, well, I'm going to be using Sparrow Wallet. And the reason for that is this cool little feature that they have when you're sending. And it's this one here. And I do have a video, an in-depth video on how to use Sparrow Wallet. I will, of course, link that down below. Everything we cover here is tutorials up the wazoo, all linked down below. But take a look at this. I know this screen is a little intimidating. Don't be intimidated by Sparrow. Just check out the video and you'll love it. But basically, this is an example of somebody sending Bitcoin to an address, and they're saying how much they're sending and what is the Bitcoin address. All of this is just basic. Hey, I want to send this much to the following address, and I give it a little label. Where am I sending it? Okay, great. All I want you to pay attention to at this moment is down at the bottom. There's these two buttons. One says efficiency and one says privacy. Efficiency will give you the lowest possible fees. However, privacy will give you the transaction that will be the most difficult for somebody else to decipher what's going on if they look on chain. And what it does is it makes it look like a fake coin join between two people. It makes it difficult to tell what Bitcoin is going where, what's the amount being transacted, who owns what at the end of the transaction. And so just by simply clicking that button and then sending, it gives me another layer of privacy. We already coin joined when we received the Bitcoin, and now we're doing a fake coin join on the other end. Awesome. But that's not it. Typically, I'm pulling money out of the Coldcard for spending, for day-to-day spending. And if you've been around Bitcoin for a little bit, you know that usually for day-to-day stuff, for smaller ticket items, a regular on-chain Bitcoin transaction is not ideal. So oftentimes, if I'm pulling money out of my Coldcard, I'm sending it to a spending wallet, a layer 2 wallet, something that has things like Lightning Network enabled. And so where am I sending it? Typically, I'm sending it to something like Aqua Wallet. Now, what are the benefits of sending it over to Aqua Wallet? Well, Aqua Wallet utilizes a layer 2 Bitcoin protocol called Liquid or Liquid Network. It is a sidechain of Bitcoin. And when you go to fund the wallet, if you hit receive in the spending portion, the spending account, it will give you the option, if you choose Liquid, to do a peg in. And I know I'm getting a little technical here. Again, I'll drop the tutorial in the show notes. But when you hit receive, there's a button that says direct peg in. And what this does is it swaps your on-chain Bitcoin for liquid Bitcoin. And this gives you another layer of privacy because a swap happens. The Bitcoin that you sent out of the wallet is no longer the Bitcoin that you're utilizing in your Aqua wallet. And furthermore, Aqua Wallet, oftentimes you're going to be doing Lightning transactions. So Liquid, it's important to note, Liquid transactions, by default, they are shielded, meaning it doesn't let the outside observer know the amount being transacted, nor can you tell the asset being transacted because you can have stable coins on Liquid as well. And if you're interacting with a Lightning wallet, then it also uses one of those swaps with a service called Bolts, where you're going from liquid Bitcoin to Lightning. So the Bitcoin that you're sending is not the same Bitcoin that the other person is receiving because there's a swap in between. So you're getting in this process, just to break it down one more time, you have Bitcoin in your Coldcard that's already been coin joined. You go over to Sparrow wallet and you say, I want to send some money over to my spending wallet. And as you do, it does another fake 2-person coin join. So it makes it more difficult for people to tell what the hell's going on. As it hits Aqua wallet, it does a bolts swap in the background. So another layer of what the hell just happened. And then you're sitting in liquid Bitcoin, which shields the amounts and the assets being transacted. And if you send to a Lightning wallet, there's a swap that happens there too. So every single step of the way, you're adding in something where somebody would have to be really, really privy to what's going on to start to piece anything together if they still can. So this is kind of what I enjoy for a flow. Now, another wallet that does this, just so you know, that just has recently been making the rounds, and I've made a tutorial for as well, is the Bull Bitcoin wallet. Again, excellent option. So you can utilize Bull Bitcoin. Now, there is at the time of recording this video, there is an additional step. You'd be sending it to Secure Bitcoin and then using the swap button to go over into instant payments. So it's not a single hop, but it's still possible to do this through the wallet. And again, the same thing applies. If you're sending to a Lightning wallet, then it does a swap in the background. But furthermore, they also have something called PayJoin enabled, which isn't yet widely used, but another great kind of CoinJoin-esque thing that can be utilized here in the wallet too. So you've got a whole bunch of different options here to get from your Coldcard to your day-to-day spending wallet in a way that adds a couple extra layers of privacy. Okay, so you're in a place where you've been as private as possible and you've been able to secure Bitcoin, and you've now peeled off some Bitcoin into a spending wallet, perhaps like Aqua, that gives you some additional privacy benefits in the process. But now it's time to go use Bitcoin. And how are you going to do that in a private way? Well, of course, barring the option to be able to spend your Bitcoin directly, you can always go back the way that you came, perhaps using something peer-to-peer like HodlHodl to reobtain your local currency and then make your day-to-day payments. However, I'm a big proponent of using your Bitcoin day-to-day. And there are some services that can help bridge that gap if you are lacking brick and mortar stores to be able to do so. So instances like Coincards, these guys are awesome, and they've been in the game a long time, and they allow you to exchange your Bitcoin for gift cards, both physical and digital, that you can then redeem online or in store. Another great option for something like this would be something like Bitrefill, which is available in a ton of different jurisdictions. And there's a ton of different options, very, very useful cards that can be used day to day. Now, there are, of course, websites that you can utilize and spend Bitcoin. Travala is great for booking travel, hotels, activities, flights, all that kind of stuff. There's also even a concierge service called ShopinBit.com, and you pretty much you link up with somebody on there and you say, this is what I want, this is where I want it delivered, or I want this flight, or I want this good and I need it delivered here. And they'll basically just make it happen, and you just pay in Bitcoin. So that is very useful. Now, in terms of finding stuff locally, BTCmap.org is an excellent place to see if there are Bitcoin-related brick and mortar stores in your vicinity. And furthermore, if you're somebody that has a brick and mortar store, you should probably list yourself on there so that you're easier to find. But I would say, if this is not an option in your area in terms of there's not merchants around, if not you, then who? Start the initiative. Go find the local Bitcoiners, go to the local meetup, and start encouraging people. That's exactly what we've done in my city. And so we've built out something called the SAT market. And so not only is this great for privacy because you can go spend your Bitcoin here as if it's cash because everybody is accepting Bitcoin. We've got farmers, we've got tradesmen, we've got artists, we've got all kinds of different stuff. Oftentimes we'll have 50 or 40 or 50 merchants at an event, all useful stuff that we can get day to day to have our needs met. and pay in Bitcoin. But beyond that, it builds great relationships too. So you've got a rock solid community to lean on in times of need. So by and large, what I'll say is nowadays it is entirely possible to live on your Bitcoin. It won't always be the easiest way of doing things, but if you're ideologically aligned, you can absolutely make it happen, and you can make it happen in a pretty private way while keeping your stack and your life savings secure. So what I've outlined here is what tends to work for me and is very much tailored to what I've kind of found is optimal for my lived experience living on Bitcoin, earning Bitcoin. Now, I also have done a couple of things here that in the outline may not be the most private or the most secure in these examples. And so I'm going to share with you a couple ways that you can even go above and beyond what I've done here. And, you know, I do use these things, and I have used them and continue to use them, but I didn't outline them in this flow just to keep it kind of relatively streamlined. So the first is that I mentioned I am utilizing Zaprite in order to charge in Bitcoin and be paid in Bitcoin and link it to my own personal wallets. Now, the trade-off in doing so is that Zaprite is, a company on the internet, and, you sign up and, your invoices are kind of there on a server. And so, there's obviously a centralization of information risk that sits there. And so how do you optimize for that? Or what are the alternatives? And I would say, BTCpay, BTCpayserver.org, go check them out. But BTCpay server is kind of like the greatest of all time when it comes to open source Bitcoin payment technology for merchants. They spearheaded this whole thing. And to date, I think, again, it's one of the most important projects in the Bitcoin space. And so if you want to one-up me on the Zaprite thing in terms of the self-sovereignty, then you run BTC Pay server. Now you can do this kind of cloud hosted, which is, I'd say, for the average person, the most accessible way of doing it. Now your data would be encrypted on a server somewhere and not accessible to the people that are hosting it. But you can also go beyond that and host it on your own infrastructure, like a Bitcoin node, like a Start9 server. In order to do that, you're going to have some know-how with networking, because right now it's kind of all through Tor, and I'm going to say that is beyond my skill set, let alone your average Bitcoiner. So if you're going to go to BTC Pay server, you're probably going to be using something like Luna Node or Voltage.cloud and hosting it there, and then linking that to your own wallets. And that's where you do your invoicing through. So that's one way that you can up the ante here. Now, I also mentioned the Coldcard as kind of the offline cold storage option in terms of, how I'm utilizing that. And I'm going to say that the Coldcard is still my favorite way to go, but this was, in my instance here, the example, it's a single sig, meaning there's one Coldcard with one key that manages the funds. And for life savings, I think that we can do better than that. And for me, I really prefer multi-sig, meaning that you have multiple Coldcards that you store in different locations, and you need more than one of them in order to access the funds. And so for this, I do like to use Nunchuk. And so Nunchuk is, you can make your own multi-sig that requires multiple keys, or you can do an assisted one with kind of inheritance planning and all of that. But you can use Coldcard queues for that function, and you can store them around. I absolutely use Nunchuk for a long-term savings. I love it because I don't have to provide ID. You can remain completely private, and functionally it will still get to your next of kin if anything should happen to you. So I think that's another way that you can up the ante from the flow that I had. You would be able to, if I'm not mistaken, take the Nunchuk, the wallet file, and be able to have that within Wasabi so that it automatically coin joins into your multisig. But you can also always move from your Coldcard into your multi-sig of multiple Coldcards as well. So either way, I just think for additional security, this may be something that people may want to tag on. And that's something that, again, can one up the flow that I described here. So there you have it. There's my flow. What I think is probably the best set it and forget it in terms of security and privacy all in one when obtaining and using Bitcoin day to day. I also tried to add in a couple things that can be helpful for leveling up from the initial flow. Now, as you've watched this, let me know. What things do you like? What things do you not like? What things did I miss? I am very curious. And let me know your experiences in the comments down below. Of course, everything that I mentioned here, everything will be a tutorial that is also linked into the show notes. So don't be shy. Check them out. And if it all seems like a lot, pick just one thing, hone in on that, and then learn that skill first, and then continue down the path. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you need any additional help with anything that you've seen here, of course, the tutorials are listed in the show notes down below, but I encourage you to check out my Learn page, btcsessions.ca/learn. When you head there, you can scroll down the page. There's some pre-selected tutorials that can help you on your way, going from beginner all the way up to master, plus deeper dive playlists to help you along the way. And if you need any one-on-one help with that, you can reach out to my team over at Bitcoin Mentor. They can be found at the bottom of the Learn page. You can book your one-on-one sessions with them and make sure that your setup is rock solid. With that, I'm out. Keep stacking sats, but also keep stacking those skills. I'm Ben with the BTC Sessions. This was your daily session. Looking for a simple and secure way to manage your Bitcoin on mobile? Aqua Wallet has you covered. It's user-friendly and puts you in full control of your Bitcoin with secure self-custody. Aqua also supports Lightning and Liquid Network, making fast, cheap Bitcoin payments and asset transfers easier than ever. Plus, it even supports stablecoins, giving you ultimate flexibility. Built on open source code, Aqua is transparent, trustworthy, and perfect for beginner and pros alike. Ready to upgrade your Bitcoin experience? Click the link in the show notes or scan the QR code on the screen now to download Aqua Wallet today. Securing your Bitcoin doesn't have to be complicated or invasive. With Nunchuk's Honey Badger plan, you get state-of-the-art multisig with built-in inheritance planning and no KYC required. Nunchuk is trusted by users to secure billions of dollars in Bitcoin. The Honey Badger plan offers 204 assisted multisig, guiding you step-by-step on mobile or desktop. It works seamlessly with hardware wallets like TapSigner, Coldcard, Jade, and plenty of others, so you're always in control. Plus, with non-KYC inheritance planning, you can ensure your Bitcoin goes to your loved ones. No private info needed. Take control of your Bitcoin today. Click the link in the show notes or scan the QR code on the screen to check out the Honey Badger plan.